Okay, so last section of chapter 4 is talking about correcting entries that were posted or journalized incorrectly. So once all of our posting is done and our post ref columns in the journal are completed, either with an account number or a check mark, except for our totals line. So we're talking about this post ref column right here. So it has either check marks indicating where we put that amount in special columns, or it has an account number indicating that we journalize that in the general debit and credit, except for our totals line here. We don't need anything in this box. Then that is when we're ready to make any correcting entries. So correcting entries should be used to correct any transaction that was improperly journalized and then improperly posted. So chapter 3 journalizing is kind of what we're doing in 4.4. Then we would go update that account to show that correct posting. So a memorandum is what's going to be used as our source document. And it's just going to lay out exactly what happened. So here's the example: a cash payment of $120 for advertising was debited in error to miscellaneous expense. So we need to take it out of miscellaneous expense and put it into advertising expense. So the correct entry would be a debit to the advertising. Then to take it out of an account, we have to do the opposite. So we probably debited miscellaneous expense. Then to do the opposite, we would have to give it a credit, which would basically cancel out the original debit. So we would debit advertising, that's what's supposed to happen, and we would credit miscellaneous expense, which would take it out of there. So let's go to MindTap. So 4.4 work together. We have two entries that we need to correct. The first one was on December 1st, and we discovered that a transaction for supplies bought last month was journalized and posted in error as a debit to prepaid insurance instead of supplies for $75. And our source document is memorandum 15. So we're just going to put in our date here, December 1. Now, our first account is going to be supplies because it was supposed to go into supplies as a debit for $75. Our source document is going to be memorandum 15. Then we need to take it out of prepaid insurance. Prepaid insurance is an asset with a normal debit balance. So therefore, prepaid insurance is going to get a credit because that would be the opposite. Both of these amounts are going to be falling in our debit, general, and credit. Nothing to do with our special amount columns. So that is transaction number 1. Transaction number 2, also on the 1st, we don't have to put December. And we found that a transaction for rent expense for last month was actually accidentally journalized and posted in error as a debit to repair expense. So we need to put it into rent and we need to take it out of repair. So normal balance of an expense account is a debit. So rent expense is what was supposed to get debited, memorandum 16 for $900. We need to take it out of repair expense. Expense accounts normally have a debit balance. So to take it out, repair expense is going to be the one getting the credit of 900. And those are your two correcting entries. It also was discovered that 2 posting errors were made to the owner's drawing account. November 15th entry should have been $540 instead of $450. And the November 30th entry should have included a debit to the drawing account for $400, not a credit. So it should be over here. So we're going to have to determine what amount should be entered in each letter. And that's also going to change the dollar amount in our balance. So box A, $450 debit. On the 15th, it should have been $540. Box B is our credit. We're in the owner's drawing account, has a normal debit balance. So nothing should be in our credit. Box C is going to be our new balance. So if it was a $540 debit, that is going to change our debit balance to $540. D is also blank because owner's drawing has a debit balance, not a credit balance. Letter E, on the 30th, we should have debited $400, not credited. So letter E should actually have the $400. F should actually be blank. That $400 is going to update our balance. So this is actually 540. We need to add 400, 540 plus 400. That's going to update our balance to $940. And then H should also be blank. Okay. That is 4.4, just making correcting entries. Make sure you do that on your own, and if there are any terms